Hello there. Uh, my name is Dedi Ramba. I am an Equatorian living in Salt Lake City, Utah. For those of you who know me or who have watched my videos on YouTube, you should know by now that I like to document events that happen in the state of Utah, from entertainment to politics or anything in between. The reason I'm doing this short video is to just do that. I'm going to be interviewing some key people who are involved in the process of preparation for the next ESSCA conference that's going to take place in Salt Lake City, Utah. I hope I'll be able to provide researchers and people who are interested in the history of Equatorians in the United States with some materials to incorporate in their work. The last time such a conference was held in Utah was in 2009, and that was the 9th annual ESSCA conference. This time around, it's going to be the 22nd annual ESSCA conference, and we want to see, compare and contrast and see how different this conference is going to be compared to the one that was hosted here in 2009. As you can imagine, two entities working collaboratively together to achieve a specific goal may not be easy sometimes. ESSCA-USA and GERA Utah had disagreements along the way to the point where Julie Muki, the head of the organizing committee in Utah, had to call for an impromptu meeting to address some of the challenges that we encountered. So we were able to meet. Fortunately enough for us, we were able to iron out those differences, and we were able to continue moving forward with the preparations for the conference. So that was amazing.
With all those mistakes, it doesn't reflect well on us as an organization or individuals. Like, some of us are very sensitive really in things like that. And that's why we want to work as a team, because I might not know everything, you might know something and tell me, and then after that we'll come up with a refined kind of document to be disseminated.
Yes, and let me add to that. As an organization, most organizations, when they function up to standards and in a professional way, email is the means of communication. I noticed that ESSCA does not use that. A lot of times we send emails out, there is no even response acknowledging receipt of a message. And sometimes one wonders, do people even read their emails? Yeah, we can talk over the phone. There are certain things that we can discuss over the phone, but for the for the good of the organization itself, when it comes to making self-evaluation or seeing how you can track your activities, email is the way to go. But it's very disappointing when we use email, we communicate, and we don't hear a response back, and it just doesn't look good. Just the optics of it does not look good. So I would really encourage people on the ESSCA team to try to use email more often. The reason that we have the WhatsApp chat group is to discuss certain things, like what Julie already mentioned. We don't have to go for a meeting every now and then. But I made suggestions that I thought were important to be done before the flyers could go out. And then, it's okay to differ. If someone were to say, hey, no, Dedi, I don't agree with your suggestions for reasons A, B, C, and D, that is fine. And then we can have a discussion and get to a resolution. But if everybody is quiet, the assumption is that, okay, everybody is okay with those suggestions. And then all of a sudden, we find out that actually those suggestions are not taken into consideration. And then I start to wonder, why do we even have this WhatsApp chat group then? If we are not deliberating there, we're not discussing. We can discuss, we can have different opinions, disagree, but with the purpose of coming together to resolve an issue. But if I mean, if we are not doing that, then, it's not a good attribute. If I'm doing something wrong and somebody's not alerting me to that, I don't think I'm going to like that person. So this is just something I'm throwing out there. And of course, we are recording this, and this is going to go to our chat group so that we are kind of on the same page. And let's have a good disagreement over issues, but with the goal of working together and achieving something. The last item I really want to talk about is about the communication that I mentioned earlier. As you know, as an organization, the preferred method of communication should be emails. That way we can track and have evidence of prior communications. But now, if there's a need for telephone conversation, and this is the other part, please, if you are that kind of a person that does not have a voicemail set up on your phone, please do it. Because we understand everybody's busy. But if somebody's gonna call you and for whatever reason you're not picking up the phone, make sure that you have a voicemail so that somebody can leave a voicemail. But if your voicemail is just not there, it's not even set up, or is even full, or somebody's leaving you a message and you're not even checking it, I mean, that does not look good. I mean, we need to really start stepping up to the plate and behaving in a professional manner, especially when we communicate. And when you call someone, you don't find that person, please also leave a voicemail. So that way we will, improve our communication. But I mean, if I'm just calling and nobody's picking up the phone, I can't even leave a message. I mean, it just doesn't look good. So we need to look at these small things and improve on them. That way we can do better. That's all I have, Julie.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Juma Artema coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've been living here for several years. I am married. I'm a businessman here in Minneapolis. I love my work. And I have 2 kids. Connect with people very, very well. So the question about my leadership. Well, it was 2021 when I was voted in as the president of Equatorial Community in the USA, in the acronym known as ESSCA-USA. I am privileged to lead this big organization because this is one organization that brings all Equatorians from East, Central, and West together. And so a lot was expected from us because we came in a time after the COVID. And so it was a serious time that we had to deliver. So here we are, we're working hard, and I'm using community approach, which is to go back to the people, connect with the people, and see what is it that they want, what is it that the people are crying for, and we are working with that together. We can transform and bring a better ESSCA. What do I want to do differently? Well, I sincerely would like to transform the financial sector of ESSCA-USA. If you look at the finances of ESSCA, ESSCA has been running completely broke, absolutely zero. And so I'm bringing in my business expertise to change ESSCA to something better. I'm going to work together with people. I'm going to need your help. I'm going to need everybody's help for us to change the financial side of ESSCA. By the time I'm leaving office, I want to leave this office stronger and financially strong. We've got a lot of objectives, but this can only come true when we all work together. When we get your support. With your support, we can deliver to the people of Equatoria. Leaders have come before me and they have done their very best in ESSCA. And one of the things that has been resonating with people is the conference. The conference is one event that brings all Equatorians together. Those in the government, those in opposition, those with the National Salvation Front, they all can only meet here in ESSCA. And I would like to continue that conference because this is one event that we can come all together to work side by side to see what is it that we can do to better Equatorians here in the USA and across the globe and back home as well. And so that is one thing that has been working very well for our people. We would like to continue that and see to it that it is upheld to a much higher standard. The next conference, we want to make it even better, much better than the previous ones. My message to all those who are coming to the conference, this is going to be one of the dynamic conference, the one like you have never seen before. We have a Utah team working tirelessly across in, day out to bring the very best of Utah. So come to the conference. I guarantee you that you are going to be transformed. You will see that Equatorians are sincerely, they have woken up and they are here to do something different. This is going to be going down as one of the best conferences yet to come. So I want to encourage all of you, all those who have heard the bad side of ESSCA, come. Bring your goods, the bad and the ugly, bring it all. And we can all together make it a better conference and a better Equatorian. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Hello, my name is Philip Lukiru. I'm president of GERA. I've been serving the community here in Utah for the last 4 years. And now we are going to host a conference. And my role right now is to oversee and make sure that the committee responsible for organizing the conference have what they need to deliver. So, what are the things that I expect in the coming days? Number one, hopefully there will be more focus on people's problems, things like mental health, delinquencies, youth delinquencies, gun violence and things like that, and how families can be more, stay together, less divorces and things like that, the struggles that people are going through. Hopefully less. I've been on the forum, ESSCA forum, the last 3 weeks, and there's so much, although the conference is coming, there's so much focus on bylaws, procedures, and the processes, policies, and things like that that really have nothing to do with the things that really youth and other women are looking forward to. Number three, I'm hoping that going forward, us as Equatorians and ESSCA, we look into what the organization can do for the people instead of what the people can do for ESSCA. I see that there's so much support for the organization. People love the organization, but the organization, we should now focus on what the organization does for the people in terms of delivering services, because the role of organization is to bring resources to the community and not just take away. Okay.
My name is Julian Muki. Most of the time they call me Julie Muki. I'm the organizing chairperson for the ESSCA Conference 2023, which will be held in Utah. In this conference, we were expecting a lot of things to happen. Number one, I wanted to see that we as Equatorians come together and define our future. Our theme for this conference is shaping our destiny. Some of us have been here as long as 20 years, and some are yet coming. But we wanted to know, what is it that is making us not to be united and to support each other? Why am I saying that? Many communities or immigrants that came here have gone to a certain level. But we as Equatorians, we have been lacking behind. And I was thinking that some of the topics that we might capture in this conference would be encompassing subjects as such. When you look into the field of politics, none of Southern Sudanese have ever or has ever been an aspirant to any position, starting from the local council or the senators or in the federal level. Number two, when you talk about business, we haven't been active in the business arena. Many of us who have started business haven't made it. And that might be attributed to our ways and attitude as Equatorians, our lifestyle. We have always pulled ourselves back. And this is something that we need to put a stop to it, because we need to support each other to move forward and to grow. Because if we have business people, there are many things that would help us. For instance, Equatorial Conference, those were to be our biggest donors or contributors to make this conference a success. And besides, we will also have a say in the business community group. That is also applicable to the political arena, because we are talking a lot about South Sudan. We talked a lot about how much Equatoria is suffering, Equatoria is bleeding. But if we have senators, we'll get connected to people of decision making, and we will then sell our ideas. At the end, they will voice it out, and together we'll have someone who represents us and our interests in the federal government or even the state government. So it's very crucial that we have to relook into our ways of doing things, relook into our future while we are in the United States. Because if we don't think about that or changing, we will never reach anything that we planned for. Look into the field of sports. We have good players, but we are not even promoting them. We are not selling their talents such that they are involved in these big teams that we have here in the United States. We need to start doing that so that Equatoria shines. My expectation in this workshop was all that I've mentioned. And the other thing is about us as Equatorians. We keep on blaming ourselves, and we keep on blaming ESSCA, which is the only organization also that we right now have. Yes, they have some kind of weaknesses, but on our end, we have not also been so supportive. We have a conference that most of us love to come to and attend. Let this not be an avenue for us to just come and dress up and talk and meet each other. We need to plan. We need to shape the future of our kids, the generation to come that we are going to leave behind. As we are now halfway, almost mixed up kind of culture, because we came with a culture that we know, and now we're adopting a culture that we don't know and trying to live with it, to forge a way to live with it. Our kids, most of them are born here. They only know one culture. Our culture doesn't sink well into their understanding. This is something that we also need to work on. It's gonna take us a long way, but we still have to try as much as possible to instill them with our culture, because our culture is our identity. And so we have to encourage them to also be contributors to anything that happens in regards to Equatoria. Even in our various states, we need to have our association active. Even if 2-3 people come, they have to be so enduring and tolerant to making sure that they bring Equatoria together and bring our kids together, so that we impact at least a little bit. They might not take it. When we are no more, they'll say, we used to stay with our parents on this kind of occasion or that kind of occasion, in this gathering, so-and-so was talking about this. They will think about it one day. But if we leave them, they will be like lost sheep in this country. And it will be painful for them if they don't know where they come from, they don't know their roots. We might be lucky that we came from a place that we know. There are people who came to the United States, they don't know where to go back to. And things are getting tough on them here. And there's no way for them to do anything or help themselves out to know their identity or the country, or some of them even their ancestors. So we are lucky enough to have that privilege and opportunity. And for this, I urge Equatorians, support each other. ESSCA if you know that you're coming to attend ESSCA in 2024, plan now. The moment the conference ends, plan for it. That way you will give the institution or the organization a very clear vision of what to do, because this conference depends on you. But again, my message to ESSCA is, do not rely on conference goers, or do not make this conference something that depends on people's pocket. You should devise a way of how to raise money, write grants, and do some stuff. ESSCA was created to, instituted or planned to be something that would encourage Equatorians in the United States. Of course, if your other side of your body has any pain, the whole body is hurt. So that cannot go well without considering Equatoria back home. So there are instances where we have to look back and say, hey, we need to extend a helping hand there. But we also have to put ESSCA to become as an organization, international organization, that can get funds and help Equatoria in a greater aspect back home, and also bring together Equatorians in the United States. One, identifying people who want to, for instance, run or contest to be a senator, to run as a city council, men or women. We have to have funds to promote our children to get into the sports, whether it's basketball, football, soccer. We need to support them. We need to make others who are already in that field be an example, so that the little ones or the ones that are coming up will be able to emulate them. Let us try to look into some of the cultures or ways of living that are pulling us backwards. For example, we have many people who are indulging in drinking. There are many people who are drugs abuse. Let us try to look of ways of how to bring them and persuade them to go to rehabilitation centers. You know, let us try to think big. Equatoria is big. Equatoria is great. Thank you so much.
The conference in Utah was characterized by a number of unprecedented events. One big one is the objection to the formation of the new or the next administration, or confirming the new president of the executive branch and chairperson of the board of directors. I'm not aware of any time in the past where this had happened. And then I leave the rest for you to figure out, comparing the events that happened in this conference to the other conferences that took place prior to this. But anyway, this is something I just thought of sharing with you. And here is my unsolicited recommendation or advice to Kansas City, Missouri. So they better start looking for a theme for the conference. When we asked ESSCA about the theme of the conference in Utah, there was no answer, so we had to come up with the theme. But, you know, just bear in mind that this is something that you may want to put into consideration. If it turns out that ESSCA has, you know, a theme in mind, then well and good. But if not, you already have maybe an option or two to present to ESSCA. And then another thing would be to start looking for a person, identify a person who is going to be the guest of honor and or a keynote speaker. That needs to be done really early on, and you know, make sure that you get commitment about attending the conference and presenting on whatever it is that you would want them to present on. So yeah, these are just some 2 cents that I may throw the way of Kansas City. And my suggestion to ESSCA-USA would be to really build its capacity to be able to write and apply for grants. We know that a lot of families are struggling even to pay their bills. By coming to these same struggling people and asking for money, I think is just a huge ask. So there is money out there for nonprofit organizations. So I think ESSCA needs to look into that more seriously, be able to apply for grants from the state or from the federal government, get the money and bring it to the service of the people, the struggling people that it's trying to help in the first place. But I just see that one is so lacking in how ESSCA is run. Another thing will be to engage the state leaders on a regular basis, to discuss issues and see where they need help or what is going on and stuff like that. That will create the rapport and understanding between ESSCA and the different states. When we were preparing for the conference, I asked about the outreach, how ESSCA is reaching out to communities that are organized. It turned out that was not the case. So I asked if I could do that. So I reached out to 5 or 6 different state leaders, according to the list that I got from ESSCA-USA. And then it turned out that actually a lot of them were just so frustrated with ESSCA. And when I called saying that, I'm calling regarding the conference, they started venting their anger and frustration on me, thinking that, I work for ESSCA. I said, no, I'm in Utah and I'm part of the organizing committee. And that's the reason, I was reaching out to them. And of course, after all the back and forth, the arguments and, stuff that happened between Utah and ESSCA-USA, finally the conference came to an end. It was successful by so many measures, according to reports that I get from people that I talk to. And it was just kind of a learning experience for us in Utah, and I hope for ESSCA as well. But all in all, wonderful job, both ESSCA-USA and the team in the state of Utah. We hope that the next conference in Kansas City is going to be even better, given the lessons learned and taken from this conference experience. 2 more important points that I almost forgot to discuss or to mention. Number 1, the issue of being on the same page. I noticed through my recent interaction with ESSCA that the right hand does not know what the left hand is doing. That's not good. A lot of times you will have a discussion with one member of the team on an issue, you get a different answer. You have a discussion with another person on the same team, the answer is different. This is not good. This is problematic. And now, the most important one is the issue of the documents that ESSCA has or is using. Most of those documents are outdated. They need to be reviewed and edited. The reason I'm saying this is because when we receive the document to do with the election, it turned out that the document has a lot of typos, a lot of grammatical errors, and worst of all, they are still referring to ESSCA as if we were still part of Sudan, meaning Equatorial Sudanese Community Association. We know that we seceded from Sudan about 11 years ago. Now, the acronym of ESSCA has changed. It's Equatorial South Sudanese Community Association with 2 S's instead of 1 S. But the current document is still referring to ESSCA with 1 S. So this is just not acceptable. We got our independence almost 11 years ago, and we're still talking as if we're part of Sudan. Thank you for taking the time to watch this documentary. Bye.